Only 2 of these Corvettes were ever sold to the public, and one of them just sold for over $3 million at auction. This isn't a concept car or a one-off prototype that never left the shop. It actually raced. It actually won, and today we're looking at the story behind it. This video is about the 1969 Chevrolet Corvette ZL1. Now let's get into it. The 1969 Corvette ZL1 wasn't built to be a comfortable cruiser. It was Chevrolet's attempt to smuggle a race engine into a production car, and it worked almost too well. Rather than growing out of the L88, the ZL1 was designed to replace it outright. Chevrolet had already pushed the L88 about as far as it could go, but the ZL1 took the formula and rewrote it from the ground up. The centerpiece was an all-aluminum 427 cubic inch V8, a radical shift away from the cast-iron big blocks everyone else was still running. Swapping to aluminum shaved roughly 100 pounds off the front of the car, which meant a noticeably better power-to-weight ratio right out of the gate. That weight loss also shifted the car's balance closer to true 50-50 distribution, which made a real difference in how it handled under hard cornering, not just in a straight line. It wasn't just about losing weight either. The engine got beefier connecting rods and open-chamber cylinder heads that let it breathe far more efficiently than anything else in the lineup. Casting an aluminum block of that size was also incredibly expensive and labor-intensive for the era, which is part of why Chevrolet never had any real intention of building these in volume. On paper, Chevrolet rated the ZL1 at 430 horsepower, the exact same number as the L88. In practice, most estimates put the real output somewhere between 560 and 585 horsepower. For 1969, that wasn't just impressive. It was borderline absurd, closing in on numbers you'd expect from a purpose-built race motor, not something with a VIN and a warranty card. Here's the catch, though. You couldn't just walk into a Chevy dealership and check a box for it. The ZL1 package meant tearing into the entire car, not just dropping in a new engine. The stock Corvette chassis and brakes simply weren't built to handle that kind of power, so Chevrolet made a whole list of upgrades mandatory alongside it. That included the F41 special front and rear suspension, the G81 positraction rear axle, J56 heavy-duty brakes, and K66 transistorized ignition. And if you were hoping for creature comforts to go with all that muscle, forget it. No radio, no air conditioning, no power steering, not even power windows. This was a car with exactly one job, and it did that job well. When magazines got their hands on an engineering prototype, the numbers were staggering for the era. 0 to 60 came in around 4 seconds flat, with a quarter-mile time of 12.1 seconds at 116 miles per hour. Popular hot rodding managed to push it even further, running an 11.2-second quarter-mile at 129 miles per hour. Remember, this is 1969. For some context, a modern 2024 Mustang GT convertible with the performance package and a 10-speed automatic runs 0 to 60 in about 3.9 seconds and covers the quarter mile in 12.2 seconds. A car built more than half a century later is barely keeping pace with something Chevrolet built almost by accident. None of that came cheap. According to Motor Trend's testing at the time, a base Corvette coupe carried a sticker price of around $4,781. The ZL1 option alone tacked on another $4,718, nearly doubling the price of the car before you even added the mandatory suspension and brake upgrades. Once everything was factored in, the total came out to roughly $10,448, more than double what a standard Corvette cost. At that price, almost nobody was willing to actually order one. By the time the dust settled, only 2 ZL1 Corvettes were ever sold to retail customers. That said, Chevrolet's Tonawanda engine plant records show that 94 ZL1 engines carrying Corvette prefixes were actually built that year. Of those, 80 were paired with manual transmissions and 14 with automatics. Most of them never touched a showroom floor at all. They went straight into race cars, with only a small number sold over the counter to private buyers. A handful of ZL1 equipped Corvettes were also built for Chevrolet's own engineering department, including one reportedly driven by Zora Arkus Duntov himself, the man widely credited as the father of the Corvette. Those engineering cars were used to test drivetrain and suspension development, but what happened to them afterward is murky at best. Some believe the ZL1 engines were pulled, standard big blocks were swapped back in, and the cars were quietly sold off with no record of their original hardware. There's no solid proof either way, so for now, it stays a rumor rather than a confirmed fact. The whole reason the ZL1 existed in the first place traces back to Chevrolet's involvement in Can-Am racing. Vince Piggins, who headed up Chevrolet's Performance Products division, had been pushing hard for a lightweight big block that could go toe-to-toe with the dominant Can-Am cars of the late 60s. Chevrolet dragged its feet at first, but when Bruce McLaren, whose race team had been running Chevy small blocks, started seriously considering a switch to Ford power instead, General Motors finally moved. They greenlit development of an aluminum big block V8, and that engine became the ZL1. The payoff was immediate. With the ZL1 under the hood, McLaren's Can-Am cars dominated from 1968 through 1971, taking 32 wins out of 37 races in that stretch. Chevrolet obviously couldn't sell race cars directly to the public, so instead they found a workaround by folding the ZL1 into the Corvette order sheet as a technicality. One of the two people who actually managed to buy a factory ZL1 Corvette was a man named John Mahler, and the car you're looking at right now is his exact car. Mahler wasn't just some enthusiast who got lucky with the timing. He was a serious competitive racer with connections in the right places, including Don Yenko and Grady Davis, a two-time SCCA national champion who also happened to be an executive at Gulf Oil. Mahler had already owned a 1968 L88 convertible, but once word of the ZL1 reached him, he wasn't going to settle for anything less. The problem was that Chevrolet had built the ZL1 purely as a homologation exercise for FIA and NHRA racing purposes, and selling them to ordinary customers was never really part of the plan. That's where Davis's influence came in. With some quiet help behind the scenes, Mahler's order actually got approved, a Monaco orange ZL1 convertible fitted with the automatic transmission. The color wasn't random either. It was a subtle nod to Gulf Oil, a thank you to Davis for making it happen, and Mahler later doubled down on that connection by wrapping the car in a full Gulf Racing livery. On December 30th, 1968, Mahler walked into Harold Bremen's West Penn garage and drove out as the owner of the very first factory-documented ZL1 Corvette ever built, and to this day, the only convertible version known to exist. He didn't let it sit around looking pretty either. Within a day of picking it up, it was already being prepped for competition. Free-flowing side pipes went on for better exhaust flow, along with a spare 4.11 rear end for quicker launches. Once it hit the track, the wins started piling up. Thanks to that automatic transmission making full-throttle launches almost foolproof, the car earned a reputation around western Pennsylvania as an absolute menace on hill climbs, drag strips, and autocross courses between 1969 and 1972. It wasn't invincible, though. By September of 1969, Mahler had blown the short block, though Chevrolet stepped up and replaced it under warranty. And the ZL1's window was closing fast anyway. Stricter EPA regulations coming into effect meant Chevrolet couldn't keep offering the ZL1 past that single model year. So as quickly as it appeared, it disappeared again. Today, the 1969 Corvette ZL1 stands as one of the rarest, most mysterious, and most expensive Corvettes ever built. Mahler's own car went under the hammer in 2023 and sold for a jaw-dropping $3,140,000 at a Sotheby's auction, cementing its status as the holy grail for Corvette collectors. Your odds of ever spotting one of the two surviving factory ZL1 Corvettes out on public roads are about as close to zero as it gets. So here's the question. Have you ever been lucky enough to spot one in person? Let me know in the comments. I recommend checking this car out further if you're interested into old Chevys. And if you all liked it, I will definitely consider a part 2. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to subscribe and click on the recommended video that appears on the screen. It's all about the 1971 Ford Supervan. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one.